everyone, this is Catherine's Granny Squares. Welcome to my channel. This is where I talk about my passion, which is crochet. So you can see me holding up this blanket. This blanket was not a blanket. This blanket was from one of my boxes of projects that I'm going through, and I'm deciding if I want to carry on with them. If I'm feeling it for the project, I'll carry on. If not, I'm using the yarn for something else. So this was something I was knitting. I don't know what it was going to be, but I wasn't feeling it. So as I say, out it came, and I've started to make a blanket. I'm nearly finished it, in fact, because it's almost the size I want it to be. So I'm using Granny Squares. It's a Granny Square blanket, but I'm doing the front post, which you can see, just to give it a little bit of a variation. So granny clusters and a bit of front post going on there. And I'm keeping with the yarn that I had in the bag that was going to be the whatever knitting project. So I'm using it all up. And I had doubled the yarn, so I'm unravelling the balls, etc. And I'm using a 6mm crochet hook, and that's a quilted bear crochet hook. Love these hooks. So I thought, I'm going to be ruthless this year, and if I'm not touching those projects, what am I doing having them there? I might as well use the yarn and make something that I want to make and use. So that was the first project I wanted to show you. Secondly, I'm not doing big blankets this year, but I'm doing small blankets, and I found this pattern. Let me just pop that one down. This blanket was in the Crochet Now magazine. Crochet Now. And it's called a Riverstone Ripple Baby Blanket. And I've decided to just go two-tone with that. So out this comes to show you now, out my bag. And here we go with this one. Who doesn't like doing a ripple blanket? They're so interesting, aren't they? So it's a gentle ripple, this one, I think. And I'm just doing the two-tone. So I'm really enjoying doing that. And I'm using a 5mm crochet hook, Clover Soft Touch hook. That's right, Clover Soft Touch. And the yarn I'm using is a baby yarn. I don't know if I've got the label here to show you, but I have I haven't got it in this crochet bag, but I will put the make in the description box below. I do believe it's Woolcraft, but I will double check that. Obviously a white, and I think that one's called Denim, but I'll put it all in the description box like I always do. So that's that. So the bag I'm using, the crinkle, is this bag from a supermarket. Oh dear. So that's the blankets. Pop that back in there. The other thing was, because I'm not a knitter, as I say, I pulled out that project. Can you see the winter sun on me, by the way? Cold, but sunny today. I'm not a knitter, but I just had a little go at making this basket. Now, coincidentally, it fits in a yarn ball, but a yarn cake, but it wasn't made for that. It's just I wanted to have a go at knitting. As I say, I'm not a knitter, but I decided to have a go, and I had this book, which I've had for absolutely ages, Knitting with Giant Needles, and it's by Hanna Erhorn. And I've had it ages. Unfortunately, it fell off my shelf in the craft room and got a bit damaged. So I thought I'll have a go at making something. And I've got the pattern in here. They were called soft baskets. I used a 6mm knitting needle, circular knitting needle, and I just had a go. And I used this lovely yarn, James C. Brett Marble. Love their yarn. And that is shade number MC7. Isn't it gorgeous? So that was my go at knitting. Ooh. Now, the other thing is, what knitting aside, of course, crochet is my thing. And what more is my thing then? A granny square. So when I was looking on Amazon, as we all do, have a little look, I came across this book. The Granny Square book. It's an Dorling Kingsley and it's by Katy Mitchell, and it was on offer. So I thought, I'm going to get it. And it is really nice. I'll show you a few pages in a moment, but I already had some granny squares on my blocking board, and they were these colours. You would have seen these in a previous video. So I done some from a couple from the book. I know the ones I've done because I haven't done the ends yet. And what other one did I do in that colourway? That one. So I thought they would all go as a colourway to go into a blanket or something similar. And then I had these. You've seen these. I probably showed these. These are just ones that were on my block. And then I've done this one. So you can see it's just going to all blend in. And I've got two colourways going at the moment. And I will make them into something or other, bag, blanket or whatever. I just like doing granny squares. They're so peaceful to do. So let me just show you. I'm using a 4mm crochet hook to do those, and it's double knit yarn, by the way. So let me just see. They've got quite good contents. You've got the Granny Square Essentials, you've got basic squares, you've got textures, you've got bobbles, you've got clusters, you've got tapestry crochet, you've got colour work, you've got themed collections like autumn, winter, summer, spring, animals, ocean, hearts and stars. And I'll just randomly, let me see, oh, the look. Quite a heavy book actually, by the way. And you've got the chart and you've got the written pattern. I love, love, love this one. I'm going to make that one for sure. The daffodil. Saw some daffodils coming out in bud today on our walk. And just want to try and give you... Quite interesting. They've got things like the V-stitch there and the Alpine stitch. It's a lovely book. It's a really, really lovely book. And then you've got your... traditional granny square. It's quite good because she says in here, the author, that there are many different ways of doing granny squares. I'm just going to read this short section. The method of making the humble traditional granny square can take on a number of variations, and I totally agree with that. Some makers prefer to chain between their sets of stitches. I do. Others don't. Some makers turn their work for each new round. I vary on that, depending on what I'm making. Others begin making new rounds at corners, others begin in the middle. Ultimately, the end result is very similar. As you learn and practice crochet, you will likely develop your own preferences and find your own favourite method. I could not agree more. So that is a great little book, and I got it on offer. So check out on Amazon. I'll put in the description box, I'll put all the details of everything I've talked about. And the other thing, well, when I was doing those granny squares, I've got the yarn in the big beautiful basket. The pattern by Jada and Stitches. Let me just show you. Excuse my back for a minute. And in there, I went and found this ball of yarn. Well, I found two. Just draw it around again. So this is a King Cole Beaches double knit, and this one is called Lazy Days. Don't quite know why that colourway's got the name Lazy Days, but anyway, I saw that and it kept winking at me and winking at me, and in the end I thought, of got to give in. I've just got to give in. And I've started another virus shawl. Oh, we started the other night. And this is how far I've got because they grow so quickly. Love a virus shawl. I'm at my happiest with crochet, with a granny square or a virus shawl. I can tell you, they're my happy places. If you want to do a virus shawl, don't forget, on this channel, I've got various videos, and that's how I started on my YouTube journey, by doing videos on virus shawls. There we go. So I absolutely love the way it's coming out, the colourway. If you remember, I made a virus shawl with this one. This one's called Pebble something or other, Pebble Beach. Now I get that colourway name, I really do. Now this is a 70% premium acrylic yarn with 30% polyamide. You can wash and tumble dry, although I'm a bit funny about tumble drying my crochet items. So one last look, because I love this granny square. Granny square virus shawl. There we go. I was on that this morning before life began, as normal, if you like. I had a little bit with a cup of tea this morning. I did some of the virus shawl. Don't say a granny square again. I tell you, it's not surprising because I am Catherine's Granny Squares and I do love granny squares. So, you know, it's like when I'm talking about knitting, I want to say crochet hook when it should be knitting needles. You know, that's the way it goes. So that's me. Let me just check. I've told you everything. I told you about starting the blanket. And that's just basically granny stitch clusters and front posts. So I'm just doing my own thing on that. And I'm using the yarn that was in my stash. It was about the knitting project. The ripple blanket, I will put for sure the wool I'm using for that in the description box. The granny square book and the squares. And I'm just using yarn from my stash for the squares. And that's double knit yarn. The virus shawl we've just talked about, and the little bowl. So that's me. You see, I said to my husband, I've got the blanket to finish that I showed you that was a knitting project. I've started the ripple blanket. I'm doing the granny squares. I finished the bowl, yes, and I started the virus shawl. So I've got my life full of different projects at the moment, and that's the way I like it. And I did read somewhere it's good for your wrists and joints to do different projects, different stitches, so you're not getting repetitive strain. Anyway, who needs an excuse? I don't, but it's a pretty good one, isn't it? So let me just pop that back in there. I've got 2 balls of this, actually, I found. So that's going to be more than enough to make a virus shawl. I don't like them really, really long. I just like them to come round the front, as you know, and tie around here. So anyway, I'll be showing you my progress on that. So what are you working on? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed listening to what I'm working on, and I'll see you all soon. This is Catherine at Catherine's Granny Squares. Take care, everyone, and keep warm and well. Bye for now.